Let's take discriminant one more step. The discriminant also lets you determine whether or not the roots are going to be rational roots or irrational roots. But how? And what's the purpose of this? Well, if they're rational roots, you can PSA it. You should have been able to PSA this. Although it could be like that ugly question we did a couple podcasts ago, which is like astronomically huge numbers. You're better off using the quadratic formula and figuring that out. But what if they're irrational? What does that tell you? This tells you you can only solve it using the quadratic formula. What do I mean by that? Take a look again at the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus, now there's that discriminant, b squared minus 4ac right there over 2a. This is what determines whether or not you can factor it, whether it's rational or irrational. Check it out. Here's some examples. Look at this guy right here. The first one tells you the discriminant b squared minus 4ac actually works out to be 45. So the question is, that 45 goes here. So let's take the square root of 45. Can we square root the 45? Well, no, you can't. That tells you right away that the root's going to be irrational, and you have to use the quadratic formula to figure it out. Because the square root of 45 is going to give you some sort of weird number, something around 6.8 or something like that. Okay? It's going to give you a really, really strange number that's going to be continuous ... That's impossible to solve using factoring, using PSA. Look at this one. This is 100. Again, that 100 means we're talking about that thing right there. Can we square root the 100? Yes, we can. That's where your plus 10 and minus 10 goes out. And that's where this plus or minus in the formula helps us determine that we have, in fact, two roots. See how this works? Let's keep on going. Let's go to the next one. What if this b squared minus 4ac is equal to minus 16? That means we got to try to square root the minus 16. Well, you can't do that. You can't square root a minus 16. That's one of the reasons why this one will have no roots at all. Okay? Now, look at the last one. This equals to 0. Can you square root a 0? Of course you can. But who cares about the plus or minus? Again, plus or minus in the formula of minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. If this was 0, who cares about the plus or minus? You only have one root. So that's really, really important to realize. This will give you irrational. This will give you a pretty root, a nice, beautiful integer. This will give you, yikes, no roots at all because it's not square rootable. This, in fact, will give you one root because it's the square root of 0 gives you 0. Very important ways of looking at the discriminant and the quadratic equation that really helps us out, gives us further understanding of how that formula works.